The members of this city council and their staff members, the wisdom that you've promised to all who ask. Turn their thoughts to you and open their hearts to your spirit that they may receive that wisdom in their decisions, understanding in their thinking, concern in their attitudes, and mercy in their judgments. In their moments of searching for the right thing to do, let them may experience a peace that surpasses all understanding, knowing that you are here to guide and direct them if they so reach out to you. Help us all to know that your will is that we are to be part of the answers we seek and not part of the problems that beset us. And we ask these things in the name of your Son, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, Pastor Thompson, I think you added a new title since your last visit with us. We congratulate you on that and know that you will always be welcome to come and pray with us and for us at these meetings. Thank you very much, sir. Let me please remind you that if you have a cell phone or other device that makes noise, to please silence it so that it doesn't disturb our meetings, and also to conduct yourselves without any, this isn't a sporting event, this is a public meeting. Please conduct yourself the same way that you want others to react to how you speak and what you say. And by that, no cheering, no boos, and no applause. We would appreciate that. Thank you very much. To my right is Councilmember Jay Poglaze.
Good evening.
To his right is Councilmember Bob Cundiff.
Hi there.
And then our City Manager Bill Horn.
Good evening.
And Assistant City Manager Micah Maxwell.
Good evening.
To my left is Councilmember David Albritton.
Good evening.
Councilmember Hoyt Hamilton.
Good evening.
Our City Attorney Pam Aiken.
Good evening.
And our City Clerk Rosemarie Call.
Good evening.
We have several service awards, and I would first like to call forward our June Employee of the Month, Matthew Anderson, who is not here. So we will then, our police department received an award earlier, earlier this month? Yeah, we're end of June. So Chief Slaughter, congratulations to the men and women of our police department and to you and your administrative staff.
Thank you, Mayor. Dan Slaughter, Chief of Police. I just wanted to take a moment and just speak a little bit about our accreditation program, which is designed to provide the highest standards of professionalism in a law enforcement agency. So every 3 years, our law enforcement department goes through an independent review from 3 on-site assessors. These assessors review the agency against 250 standards based on organization, management, operations, and administration. The standards define the function of the organization or set certain benchmarks that must be achieved and maintained, but it also defines mandatory deliverables that are used to prove the agency's compliance with the standard. Accreditation ensures that our organization is operating with the current and emerging best practices, fostering a more efficient and effective department. Clearwater Police was involved in the Florida accreditation process when it was first since its inception in 1993 through a legislative act. We participated in work groups that ended up creating the first edition of the accreditation standards in 1995. Our agency was first accredited in May of 1998 and has been reaccredited 7 times, including our most recent accreditation that the Mayor referenced in June of just last June on the 26th. Clearwater Police Department has also received the Distinguished Excelsior Award. This status is given to an agency that has demonstrated a commitment to accreditation and an excellence in accreditation, and that's been, to accomplish that status, we've had to be reaccredited a total of 5 times and done so each reaccreditation cycle without any conditions being imposed on the agency from the Accreditation Commission. Out of 168 agencies that are currently accredited in the state of Florida, the Clearwater Police Department is only one of 18 that have actually reached this Excelsior status 3 times. During my career, I was fortunate to be the accreditation manager and manage the process between 2007 and 2010, so I'm very familiar with the tremendous amount of work that goes into managing that process. I have Sergeant Todd Turpak with me tonight. He is the one who was responsible for our most recent reaccreditation. He's done a phenomenal job, which was very clearly reflected in the assessment team's report that referred to this assessment as flawless. Our department continues to use this accreditation process to make sure we're providing the highest level of professionalism, but also to give back to our profession and help other agencies improve through the exchange of best practices. And we do have our certificate here tonight that we just wanted to present to the commission or the council and make it very clear that we would not be able to achieve this without the support of both the council and our city manager and the city, the rest of the department directors in the city. So thank you,
Great.
Mayor.
Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you. Okay, good job. Appreciate that. Thanks. Council, are there any addition or corrections to the minutes of June the 20th?
Move approval as submitted.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the minutes of June the 20th. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Anybody from the public wishing to speak to an item that is not on the agenda? If so, please come forward at this time. We would ask that you make sure that we have your name and that you have filled out a card with the clerk with your name and address, and you would have 3 minutes to speak. You can give that to the clerk and she'll pass it. Yeah.
There's a time restraint, so I want to pass that out, because I can't cover it all.
My name is Dean Falk, F-A-L-K. I'm a member of the Edgewater Drive Neighborhood Association. I was watching the Community Development Board meeting last Tuesday and was surprised to see Mayor Kritikos appeared to thank the board for doing a good job on July 25th meeting. I have to respectfully disagree. Last Tuesday's meeting spent 41 minutes talking about the meeting on the 25th about the 8-story condo that was put in the middle of a residential area, how it could have been better. They talked about many things, including time limits, changing hearing date, needs of attorney, developers meeting with the staff and not the community. And they also talked about training. And training is what I want to talk about. In 2004, Clearwater made a training manual for the CDB, but is not required reading for new members. If they had, they would have known the definition of consistency and compatibility. The board talked about the neighborhood repeating the same thing, but because of the smoke and mirrors of the developers, they were not hearing what we were saying. The consistency and compatibility does not mean single-family units compared to a bar, as suggested by the builder. It refers to the manual. If you refer to the manual, quote, it says, "This is a Walmart and not a corner store. This is not compatible." If they would have read the manual beforehand, and they all have now, maybe they would have heard and understood what we were saying. I also believe the entire planning department needs to know this, because this is just about not meeting about the zoning requirements, but it's about section 3-914, the general standards that talk about consistency and compatibility. Must be met before you even start to take numbers. The numbers do not apply when you're mixing neighborhoods. In conclusion, I believe the board should make a training manual mandatory reading for all CDB members, and maybe they should make a second manual to simplify and explain the general standards and the building code so the CDB can understand and stand up for the public in these cases. I believe the Community Development Board should be the voice of the community and not a rubber stamp for the planning department. Yes, we did learn a lot in this process, but we should not have had to. The CDB and the 8 community members that compose the CDB are supposed to know the rules and defend the average citizen. Thank you.
Are you staying until the end of the meeting, Mr. Falk?
Yes.
Until the end of the meeting?
Well, at most of them, yeah, I'm pretty sure the end, yes.
Okay, because I would like to respond to your comments, but we do that at the end of the meeting,
All right,
okay?
I will be here. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Anybody else from the public wishing to speak to an item not on the agenda?
I don't know if that will show up or not. My name is Mark Bunker, and let's see. Oh, thank you. So I'm on the Nextdoor app, and I was asking people what their concerns were for Clearwater, and there were some big ones and there were some little ones. Like, a woman named Karen emailed me and said that the the circle around her home here, which the city maintains, hadn't been mowed in a long time, and I went over and took a few pictures, and it does get up to 25 inches. It's kind of hard to see that. This is her husband, Vince. But it was up to your knees at least. So I came back. Oh, I just shot a little video traveling there as well. So I came back and I posted a couple of pictures up onto Nextdoor in response to her and said I'd talk about it tonight. And then the next morning they came by and suddenly, very sloppily, mowed the place. And she asked me to come back and take a couple other pictures. So afterwards, they were left with a mess with rows of still high grass amidst all of the mess that was left behind. So I was just wondering how often the city actually does mow these public areas, and who should somebody like Karen call when there's a need?
Okay.
Oh, I kind of expected an answer.
Yes, sir. At the end of the meeting, when we respond to everybody. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon. All right. I'm here to talk about the Community Development Code
We
3
we need your
Oh, I'm
name,
sorry,
please.
My name is Drew Thornsborough, I'm sorry. All right, I'm here to talk about the Community Development Code 3-804, which deals with the height and location of residential privacy fences. I'm a new homeowner in I'm a new homeowner in Clearwater. My girlfriend and I purchased the home on a corner lot because we wanted the room to have for our dogs to run in a fenced-in yard with privacy and security. We were denied a permit for a 6-foot privacy fence on the side facing a right-of-way street because your code defines a corner lot as having 2 front yards. The ordinance states that on the side facing the roadway, we are allowed a 4-foot fence, which is not a privacy fence, as any 10-year-old can look over in my backyard. One of the dogs I own is a German Shepherd. If my dog is in a 4-foot fence and someone reaches over to pet/touch him and gets bitten because they're invading his space, I would be liable and likely sued. The city does allow for 6-foot privacy fences on the arterial and collector right-of-ways, which does not make sense if the reason for not allowing a 6-foot privacy fence on any other corner lot is a visibility issue for traffic exiting another roadway. Allowing a 6-foot fence on a street with a higher volume of cars would result in more hazards and more hindrances of view, as there are more vehicles traveling from both directions. The city defines a collector street as a street that collects traffic from local streets and connects with minor and major arterials. The street I live next to, Greenlee Drive, which is where my side lot is considered a collector street by your definition, as it connects the neighboring streets to Highland Avenue and Keene Road. The traffic engineers just pick and choose which streets they want to consider a collector street in zoning. The street where my corner lot is located is a 2-lane, 25-mile-per-hour street with makeshift roundabouts at every intersection and speed bumps every 2 blocks. Traffic is not able to get up to unreasonable speeds as there are too many obstacles, leaving a visibility issue at the very minimum. My property line on the side starts 19 feet off the roadway, divided by a sidewalk and grass shoulder. The city of Largo has a site triangle way of measuring fence locations, which I've been told Clearwater also has. Largo's site triangle states that if it's a 2-lane road and the speed limit is 30 miles per hour, then the driver of a vehicle should be able to see 240 feet down the roadway to the left and 150 feet down the roadway to the right. On my street, the next block is 245 feet to the left. Even if I put my privacy fence on my property line, which is 19 feet off the roadway, a driver was able to see the next block with room to spare. Pinellas County has a stipulation in their code that states the applicant must obtain a written statement of no objection from the county traffic engineer stating the fence proposed will not cause a sight distance objection for vehicular traffic. Dunedin also has an ordinance using the visibility triangle where the fence cannot interfere with the safety of pedestrians and operators. I'm asking the Clearwater Commissions to update this ordinance to allow homeowners, like myself, the ability to have privacy and security in their entire backyard and side yards. Allowing homeowners to place a privacy fence on their property only increases the value of the home, which in turn increases the property taxes that we pay. If the ordinance works with other municipalities around you, why not update yours where it is comparable with theirs? This ordinance has been in place since 1999.
Thank you, sir. Your time is up. Anybody else from the public wishing to speak to an item not on the agenda? If not, I will close public comment and move to the consent agenda, item 7.1. through 7.13. Anybody from the public or council wishing to pull an item off the consent agenda, 7.1 through 7.13? Motion.
Motion to approve agenda item 7.1 through 7.13.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded to approve the consent agenda items 7.1 through 7.13. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 8.1, Mr. Horn.
Adopt a tentative millage rate of 5.9550 mills for fiscal year 1920. Set public hearing dates on the budget for September the 5th, 2019, and September 5th, 2019, and September 19, 2019, to be held no earlier than 6 p.m., and schedule a special council meeting on Thursday, August 22nd at 3 p.m. to fully discuss the proposed budget. Mayor and council, as I said on Monday, I will make some preliminary comments on the proposed millage rate item, and Kayleen Castle, our budget manager, will provide the presentation that she did for you on Monday for the benefit of the audience here and those who may be watching. If you would need my initial slide up. The points that I want to make, first of all, I want to thank you for your support in approving our current budget and how that approval, I think, has helped us look forward in the challenges that we face. In light of what we have presented to you with our current budget, we have proposed a balanced budget for fiscal year 2019-2020. It's the same millage rate as the current year as planned. We're going to focus on maintaining current facility and services. One of the reasons that we're going to do that is because we are an aging city, our infrastructure is aging, and we want to make sure that we continue to have the curb appeal that everyone has been accustomed to. We're going to provide about $3.2 million for Imagine Clearwater. That is a priority of yours. As a result, it's a priority for us. And as we look to the future, our focus is to limiting expenditure growth. And of course, there are decisions to be made regarding Imagine Clearwater as well as the Phillies, since we are in the process of seeking funding for a new agreement that will be at least 20 years into the future. And those two things will have an impact on our financial stability going forward. So with that in mind, I'll have Kayleen walk you through the various characteristics of our proposed budget.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Kayleen Castle, Budget Manager. The 2019-20 proposed budget for all city operations, which includes utility and enterprise operations, the special revenue funds, and the capital improvement fund, is $542,194,290. This reflects a 1% decrease from the 2018-19 amended total city budget. These budget totals in the operating funds include medical and life insurance costs, the required pension contribution of 11.48%, the cost for property and liability insurance, workers' compensation, and workers' compensation insurance. All approved union salary increases and increases related to the employee classification and compensation study that were estimated at $3.6 million citywide. In the general fund, the budget for fiscal year 20 reflects a 1% increase from the current year's mid-year amended budget. The utility funds total, which includes the budget for water and sewer, stormwater, gas, and solid waste and recycling operations, reflects a 1% increase from the fiscal year 19 amended budget. The enterprise funds total, which includes the budget for our marine, air park, Clearwater Harbor Marina, and parking operations, is budgeted at a 5% increase over the amended fiscal year 19 budget. This increase is due to increased capital transfers in the parking fund, as well as the operating costs for the first year of operations at the Seminole Street Boat Ramp in the Old Bay North Marina District, which is planned to open early 2020. The internal service funds total, which includes the budget for information technology, utility customer service, building and maintenance, fleet and radio communications, and the central insurance fund, which supports operations of risk management, the employee benefit programs, the employee health clinic, and the budget for all city insurances. The budget for both the internal service funds and the special revenue funds reflect a decrease of less than 1% from the current year amended budget. And the capital improvement fund reflects an 8% decrease from the fiscal year 19 amended budget. And this is primarily due to decreased funding for general government projects in comparison to the current year. This chart represents the change in property values over the last 12 years. Our 2019 certified values received from the Pinellas County Property Appraiser's Office reflect an increase in property values of approximately 6.8% from $11.2 billion in 2018 to $11.9 billion. As you can see on this chart, following 2008 through 2012's 5-year cumulative decrease in values of approximately 33%, this is our 7th year of value growth. As of last year, the total property values in Clearwater have fully recovered from the recessionary years, and we are now experiencing new growth. The proposed millage rate of 5.955 mils is recommended by the city manager for the fiscal year 19-20 budget. This is the same rate as was levied in the current year. Due to the value growth, this proposed rate is 6.01% greater than the rolled back rate, or what we typically refer to as the revenue neutral rate. The rolled back rate is the millage rate that would provide the city with the same property tax revenue as was received in the prior year, not recognizing any inflationary increases. Using the proposed millage rate, property tax revenues are projected to be $68.2 million in fiscal year 20. This represents an increase of approximately $4.4 million, or 6.8% over the fiscal year 19 budget. Of the $68.2 million projected, approximately $64.9 million will support general fund operations, and $3.2 million represents the road millage used for maintenance of city streets. Revenues that support general fund operations reflect a net increase of 1% from fiscal year 19 amended revenues. As discussed in the previous slide, ad valorem tax revenues are budgeted at approximately $64.9 million, which is about a 7% increase from the current budget. This revenue source accounts for approximately 42% of the total general fund revenue. The other revenue category reflects a 9% decrease in comparison to fiscal year 19 amended revenues, and this is due to the receipt of land sale revenues in the current year. If we adjust for that one-time revenue increase, the annual revenues in this category are projected to increase by approximately 15% due to increased interest earnings and increases in revenues from beach rentals. As you can see here, the general fund expenditure budget reflects a net increase of 1% across all operations in comparison to the current year amended budget. The departments which show increases are primarily due to personnel costs, but also include some increased internal service charges and operating increases. The budget for non-departmental, which includes the cost for minor general expenses, property and liability insurance, the transfer to the CRA for the city's share of ad valorem taxes, and transfers to the capital fund for ongoing maintenance projects at general government facilities. The non-department reflects a decrease of 28% in comparison to the current amended budget, and this is due to a one-time spike in the current budget for the Crest Lake Park project transfer, and also the purchase of the former North Ward School property that was amended earlier this year. The fiscal year 20 budget reflects decreased costs in property and liability insurance, as well as the transfers to the capital fund in comparison to the current budget. This chart shows the general fund expenditure budget by department. The budget for public safety is approximately 48.5% of the total general fund budget, with the police department representing 29.5% and the fire department representing 19% of that total. The budget for parks and recreation reflects 21% of the total general fund budget, but as a reminder, the budget for parks and recreation also includes citywide grounds and landscape maintenance, urban forestry, streets and sidewalk maintenance, as well as the operations of Pier 60 and the Sailing Center. The budget for non-departmental represents approximately 7% of the total general fund budget, and all departments represented on this slide represent approximately the same or a slight increase in percentage of total from the prior year. This chart represents the total general fund budget by category. Personnel costs continue to be our largest expense at 62% of total, which is the same percentage of total as the current year's budget. Operating expenditures represent the next largest category at approximately 15% of the total budget. Internal service charges, which represent 13% of the general fund budget, include costs associated with our internal support departments, including information technology, building and maintenance, fleet, risk management, and employee benefits. The budget for interfund transfers represent 9% of the total general fund expenditures, and debt and capital expenditures combined represent approximately 1% of the total general fund budget. A total of 1,836.6 full-time equivalent positions are proposed across all funds for fiscal year 20. This is an increase of 2 FTEs from the 2019 amended budget. This net increase of 1 FTE in the general fund is for the addition of a construction inspector in engineering and a police information technician, offset by the elimination of 1 fire medic position. Enterprise fund FTEs are increased by the addition of 1 marine facility operator position to cover increased staffing needs at the soon-to-be reopened Seminole Street Boat Ramp and the Clearwater Harbor Marina. In this graph, the sand-colored portion represents general fund FTEs, which are budgeted at 1,101.6 positions for fiscal year 20. This is a 179.9 FTEs less than our peak of 1,281.5 general fund positions in 2007. In comparison, the green portion, which represents all other funds, are budgeted at 735 FTEs for fiscal year 20, and this is approximately 62.2 positions greater than 2007. This slide represents the categorical breakdown of the capital improvement budget for fiscal year 20. Funding for projects for utilities, which include stormwater, water and sewer, gas, and solid waste and recycling, is planned at $55.7 million. This continues to be our largest expense at approximately 59% of the total capital improvement budget. General government projects are estimated at $27.6 million, representing 29% of total capital funding. This includes projects for police, fire, streets and sidewalks, parks and recreation facilities, libraries, and the maintenance of city buildings and facilities that operate general government functions. Projects in support of internal service operations are planned at $10.5 million, or 11% of total capital funding. These projects support fleet, radio communications, general services, information technology, and utility customer service. The capital budget for small enterprise funds is estimated at $1.3 million for fiscal year 20, and this provides funding for capital repair and maintenance of the air park, both marinas and our parking facilities. We will be holding a special council meeting on Thursday, August 22nd at 3 p.m. to provide council the opportunity to further discuss the proposed budget. The action requested of you tonight is to set the tentative millage rate, which the city manager has proposed at 5.955 mils, and to set the 2 public hearing dates for September. This information is provided to the county for inclusion in trim notices, which are mailed to residents in August. Just to note, if you set the tentative millage rate at the proposed 5.955 mils, it can be reduced in September, but cannot go higher without a first-class mailing to all city residents at the city's expense. Our first public hearing is planned as part of the council meeting on Thursday, September 5th, and the second public hearing to adopt the budget will be on Thursday, September 19th, both beginning at 6 p.m.
Any questions for staff on agenda item 8.1? Ms. Castle, explain again the rollback, because I know there's a lot of confusion as to what the rollback rate means, but I think I heard you say that our revenues are capped by the rollback rate. Is that correct?
Yes, if we set the millage at the rollback rate, that would hold our revenues to last year's amount.
But the rollback rate has nothing to do with our expenditures.
It does not.
So if the expenditures went up for whatever reason, then the rollback rate would not give us as much money to meet those expenditures.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. Any other clarifications, council? Anybody from the public to speak to agenda item 8.1? Motion?
Motion to approve agenda item 8.1.
Second.
A motion has been made and seconded to approve agenda item 8.1. Comments, council? Mr. Hamilton.
I want to make this one comment. I spoke with the city. Go ahead and sit down, Kaylee. Don't need you. I just, at 5.955, it's such an exact number, and I compliment staff and Mr. Horn on, building this budget based on that. And I'm like, I'm in a world where if you tell me 5.955, I'm like, why isn't it just 6.0? I did the math in myself. If we were to raise the millage, and I'm not proposing this in any way, shape, or form, but if we were to propose the millage a raise to 6.0, it would be a $4.50 increase per $100,000 taxable value in your home. Almost, and and I looked at that and I said, I wonder if we couldn't take that revenue and just automatically earmark it into reserves, because our reserves have been, we've spent money out of our reserves, and I think we spent it well, but, we can do this. But the process of raising the millage 2 years in a row is not something I am entertaining at all. No. But it was just the math of it, is, such a small increment that shows the detail and the effort put into our budget to be able to drill it down to that exact of a number. So I compliment them for that.
Very good. I guess we did it last year. You should have suggested it last year.
Oh, yeah, we could have.
Any other comments, council? Okay, motion to approve agenda item 8.1 has been made. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 8.2.
Approve the annexation, initial future land use map designation of residential urban, RU, and initial zoning atlas designation of low-medium density residential, LMDR district, for an unaddressed parcel on Pine Place, and pass ordinances 9287-19, 9288-19, and 9289-19 on first reading. Ms. Clayton.
Good evening, Gina Clayton, Planning and Development Department. The applicant is requesting to annex this vacant parcel of land into the city. It is contiguous to city boundaries on all four sides. The property would be designated residential urban on the future land use map and zoned low-medium density residential. As the property is currently vacant, there are no services going to this site. However, we've made the applicant aware of the cost to extend service, as well as the impact and assessment fees that would be required if redeveloped. Staff is recommending approval of this annexation, as it will not have any sort of negative impact on city services. It will eliminate an enclave and is consistent with the comprehensive plan.
Any questions of staff on agenda item 8.2? Mr. Hamilton.
One quick question. When you look at the map on this, to the directly south of this, there is a parcel of land. It looks like it's about 10 feet wide and about 40 feet in depth, that is still technically unincorporated, or what is the status of that little piece of land?
I'm not sure. I saw it on the map as well.
It's very unusual to see
is.
that little sliver, and it's like, I don't know why we're not, wouldn't be going through the process, just annexing that little piece as well. But
It's farther to the south. It's not associated with
Yeah.
this property.
okay.
Any other questions, council? Anybody from the public to speak to agenda item 8.2? Motion.
Move approval of agenda item 8.2.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve agenda item 8.2. Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Ms. Aiken.
Ordinance number 9287-19, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, annexing certain unaddressed real property located approximately 230 feet north of Pine Place and approximately 1/4 mile east of North Highland Avenue, Clearwater, Florida 33755, into the corporate limits of the city and redefining the boundary lines of the city to include said addition, providing an effective date.
I move that we pass ordinance 9287-19 on first reading.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to pass ordinance 9287-19 on first reading. Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Ms. Call.
Ordinance number 9288-19, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, amending the future land use element of the comprehensive plan of the city to designate the land use for certain unaddressed real property located approximately 230 feet north of Pine Place and approximately 1/4 mile east of North Highland Avenue, Clearwater, Florida, 33755, upon annexation to the City of Clearwater's residential urban RU, providing an effective date.
Make a motion to pass ordinance 9288-19 on first reading.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to pass ordinance 9288-19 on first reading. Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Ms. Aiken.
Ordinance number 9289-19, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, amending the zoning atlas of the city by zoning certain unaddressed real property located approximately 230 feet north of Pine Place and approximately 1/4 mile east of North Highland Avenue, Clearwater, Florida, 33755, upon annexation into the City of Clearwater as low-medium density residential, LMDR, providing an effective date.
I move to pass ordinance 9289-19 on first reading.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to pass ordinance 9289-19 on first reading. Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 8.3, Mr. Horn.
Approve the annexation, initial future land use map designation of residential low, RL, and initial zoning atlas designation of low-medium density residential, LMDR, district for 815 Glen Oak Avenue E and 3053 Terrace View Lane, and pass ordinances 9290-19, 9291-19, and 9292-19 on first reading. Ms. Clayton again.
As a result of the K-Pox Terrace Sanitary Sewer Expansion Project, these owners of these two single-family homes are requesting annexation. The properties currently receive water service from the city, and they've already been connected to the sanitary sewer system. Upon annexation, they will also receive solid waste service. These properties are contiguous to city boundaries on at least one side, and they will have a future land use designation of residential urban and B-zone low-medium density residential. This annexation is consistent with the comprehensive plan and the community development code and will not negatively impact city services, and the department is recommending approval.
Any questions for staff on agenda item 8.3? Anybody from the public to speak to agenda item 8.3?
Move approval of agenda item 8.3.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve agenda item 8.3. Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Ms. Call.
Ordinance number 9290-19, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, annexing certain real properties located generally north of Drew Street, south of State Road 590, and within 1/4 mile west of North McMullen Booth Road, whose post office addresses are 3053 Terrace View Lane and 815 Glen Oak Avenue East, all within Clearwater, Florida, 33759, into the corporate limits of the city and redefining the boundary lines of the city to include said additions, providing an effective date.
I move that we pass ordinance 9290-19 on first reading.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to pass ordinance 9290-19 on first reading. Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Ms. Aiken.
Ordinance number 9291-19, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, amending the future land use element of the comprehensive plan of the city to designate the land use for certain real properties located generally north of Drew Street, south of State Road 590, and within 1/4 mile west of North McMullen Booth Road, whose post office addresses are 3053 Terrace View Lane and 815 Glen Oak Avenue East, all within Clearwater, Florida, 33759, upon annexation into the City of Clearwater as residential low, RL, providing an effective date.
Make a motion to pass ordinance 9291-19 on first reading.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to pass ordinance 9291-19 on first reading. Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Ms. Call.
Ordinance number 9292-19, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, amending the zoning atlas of the city by zoning certain real properties located generally north of Drew Street, south of State Road 590, and within 1/4 mile west of North McMullen Booth Road, whose post office addresses are 3053 Terrace View Lane and 815 Glen Oak Avenue East, all within Clearwater, Florida 33759, upon annexation to the City of Clearwater's low-medium density residential LMDR, providing an effective date.
I move to pass ordinance 9292-19 on first reading.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to pass ordinance 9292-19 on first reading. Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 8.4, Mr. Horn.
Approve a future land use map amendment from the residential low RL category to the residential urban RU category for 3003 Merrill Avenue, 3025 Merrill Avenue, and 512 Moss Avenue, and pass ordinance number 9283-19 on first reading. Ms. Clayton again.
This request is to amend the future land use plan designation of 3 parcels totaling 1.3 acres, an area located on the south side of Merrill Avenue, just west of Moss Avenue. The current land use plan designation of all 3 properties is residential low, and that supports 5 units per acre. The applicant is requesting to amend the land use plan designation to residential urban, and that allows 7.5 units per acre. No zoning request, rezoning request is associated with this application because the current zoning designation of low, medium density residential is consistent with both plan categories, existing and proposed. As you can see on this map, the lot sizes of the 3 parcels are pretty different, and they have a different pattern than what is found across the street to the north. The main reason why this application came forward is because the owner of that center larger parcel would like to redevelop that with 4 homes, and the current zone land use only allows 3 units. So working with the applicant, and he went out and worked with the other landowners to bring the whole block in so that there was consistent plan category on that side of the street. The site is surrounded by single-family homes to the north and the east, and adjacent to the south, you'll find a vacant lot. There's also Eddie C. Moore to the south, as well as K-Poc over to the west. The land use categories in this area are residential low, preservation, and recreation open space. Based on the analysis of impacts, and those are detailed in your staff report, we found no negative impacts associated with this plan amendment. Upon a review of the comprehensive plan, we also found no inconsistent goals, objectives, and policies. So based on these findings, we're recommending approval, and the CDB reviewed this in June, and they're also recommending approval.
Any questions of staff on agenda item 8.4? Mr. Kunda?
The property to the east looks like the lots are very small in comparison to this property. And so once these homes are built, I mean, if they end up being built, it'll look really pretty much like the houses on the east side, newer, of course.
Pretty
Am
much.
I
I think
right?
the only difference, maybe the lot that's on the very west is a little bit larger than the pattern across the street. But yes, I think in the end, if this moves forward as anticipated, let me be clear, no development application has been submitted, but you'll have the same number of houses across the street. Both will be 6 and 6 if in fact they move forward as they've talked about.
Any other questions, council? Anybody from the public to speak to 8.4? Motion.
Move approval of agenda item 8.4.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve agenda item 8.4. Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Ms. Aiken.
Ordinance number 9283-19, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, amending the future land use element of the comprehensive plan of the city to change the land use designation for certain real properties located generally on the south side of Merrill Avenue, 705 feet west of McMullen Booth Road, whose post office addresses are 3003 Merrill Avenue, 3025 Merrill Avenue, and 510 Moss Avenue, all within Clearwater, Florida 33759, from residential low RL to residential urban RU, providing an effective date.
Question, according to the agenda item, it's 512 Moss Avenue. The ordinance says 510. Which is the correct number?
We'll have to check with planning on the correct number, but the ordinance does say 510.
It is 510.
Okay, because it says 512 here, so.
Well, that's incorrect. The title is
I
510.
just want to make sure I'm
You are
making a
correct.
motion based on the right number.
Thank you.
I make a motion to pass ordinance 9283-19 on first reading.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to pass ordinance 9283-19 on first reading. Comments, council? It seems, Mr. Hamilton, that throughout the description, it's 510 only in
Only in the title?
Only that title of the paperwork, not in the ordinance itself. It's
The legislation text says 512.
The staff report says 510.
510. The summary report is all 510. Okay? Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 8.5, Mr. Moore.
Approve a development agreement between East Shore International Enterprises, LLC, and 411 ES property owner and the city of Clearwater, providing for the allocation of 8 units from the hotel density reserve pursuant to Beach by Design, adopt resolution 19-06, and authorize the appropriate officials to execute same. Mr. Perry.
Thank you. Mark Perry, Planning and Development. There have been no changes to the application, development agreement, conceptual site plans, or elevations since this week's earlier work session or from last month's work session and council meetings. Very briefly, the proposal is for a 74-unit hotel. 8 units of those are proposed to be allocated from the reserve. The site will also includes 55 units that are otherwise permitted. The applicant intends to do a transfer of development rights of an additional 11 units. The use of the property will be overnight accommodations as well as a marina facility. That's because a 57-slip marina is proposed. 22 slips will be available to the general public, and 35 slips will be available only to guests of the hotel. 1 space per 2 slips, as with regard to parking, is required for that component, and 1.2 spaces per hotel unit is required for the hotel component. 100 spaces are required. The applicant is proposing 100% of the required parking. The application appears to be consistent with the Community Development Code, applicable portions of Beach by Design, and the city's comprehensive plan. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Any questions for staff on agenda item 8.5? Anybody from the public to speak to agenda item 8.5?
Motion to approve agenda item 8.5.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve agenda item 8.5. Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Ms. Aiken? Oh, is it Ms. Call? I'm sorry. Is it your turn?
Resolution number 19-06, a resolution of the City of Clearwater, Florida, approving a development agreement between City of Clearwater and East Shore International Enterprises, LLC, and 411 East S?
East Shore.
Okay, we're missing a word in there. East Shore providing an effective date, and we will correct that in the resolution.
I would move to adopt Resolution 19-06.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to adopt Resolution 19-06. Comments, council? Explain your stumble again, Ms. Aiken.
If you look at the title, it says 411 East S instead of 411 East Shore in the title of the resolution, and so we will correct that resolution.
You were stumbling over it. and
I
wasn't
did,
sure we
because it says S, and I don't know of an East S.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any other comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Second readings are agenda item 9.1. Ms. Call.
Ordinance number 9249-19, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, amending Section 5-1102 Clearwater Community Development Code, changing the composition of the Public Art and Design Board to include a representative from the Clearwater Arts Alliance, Inc. and Creative Pinellas, providing an effective date.
Move to approve, adopt ordinance 9249-19.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to adopt ordinance 9249-19 on second reading. Anybody from the public to speak to this motion? Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 9.2, Ms. Aiken.
Ordinance number 9277-19, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, vacating a blanket utility easement as recorded in Official Records Book 5138, page 489 of the Public Records of Pinellas County, Florida, providing an effective date.
I move that we adopt ordinance 9277-19 on second reading.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to adopt ordinance 9277-19 on second reading. Anybody from the public to speak to this motion?
I have a question. Is this,
Please come forward, identify yourself, and
Dean Falk, Sunnydale Drive. I have a question. Is this the ordinance to abandon the easement from 1919 Edgewater?
No.
no.
No. Then I have nothing to say. Thank you.
Okay.
That's 19.
Anybody else from the public to speak to agenda item 9.2 in the motion? Any other comment? Motion's been made and seconded to adopt ordinance 9277-19 on second reading. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 9.3, Ms. Call.
Ordinance number 9279-19, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, annexing certain real property located on the north side of Terrace View Lane, approximately 500 feet west of North McMillan Booth Road, whose post office address is 3040 Terrace View Lane, Clearwater, Florida, 33759, into the corporate limits of the city and redefining the boundary lines of the city to include said addition, providing an effective date.
I move to adopt ordinance 9279-19 on second reading.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to adopt ordinance 9279-19 on second reading. Anybody from the public speak to this motion? Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 9.4, Ms. Aiken.
Ordinance number 9280-19, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, amending the future land use element of the comprehensive plan of the city to designate the land use for certain real property located on the north side of Terrace View Lane, approximately 500 feet west of North McMillan Booth Road, whose post office address is 3040 Terrace View Lane, Clearwater, Florida, 33759, upon annexation into the City of Clearwater as residential low, RL, providing an effective date.
I move to adopt ordinance 9280-19 on second reading.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to adopt ordinance 9280-19 on second reading. Anybody from the public speak to this motion? Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 9.5, Ms. Call.
Ordinance number 9281-19, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, amending the zoning atlas of the city by zoning certain real property located on the north side of Terrace View Lane, approximately 500 feet west of North McMillan Booth Road, whose post office address is 3040 Terrace View Lane, Clearwater, Florida, 33759, upon annexation to the City of Clearwater's low-medium density residential LMDR, providing an effective date.
Move to adopt ordinance 9281-19 on second reading.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to adopt ordinance 9281-19 on second reading. Anybody from the public to speak to this motion? Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 9.6, Ms. Aiken.
Ordinance number 9293-19, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, amending the operating budget for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2019, to reflect increases and decreases in revenues and expenditures for general fund, special program fund, stormwater fund, gas fund, and parking fund as provided herein, providing an effective date.
I move that we adopt ordinance 9293-19 on second reading.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to adopt ordinance 9293-19 on second reading. Anybody from the public speak to this motion? Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 9.7, Ms. Call.
Ordinance number 9294-19, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, amending the capital improvement budget for the fiscal year ending September 30, 2019, to reflect a net increase of $375,145, providing an effective date.
Move to adopt ordinance 9294-19 on second reading.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to adopt ordinance 9294-19 on second reading. Anybody from the public to speak to this motion?
There will be an amendment to this on second reading.
We're on second reading now?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
And so there is a motion to amend.
okay. Let me see if anybody wanted to speak to the motion first. Okay, who's going to make the motion to amend?
So moved.
Tell us what it's about. Tell us what
The motion to amend is to amend Exhibit A of the ordinance as follows. On page 2 of Exhibit A, amend the last line, total of all funding sources to read as follows. And the change is 102,979, wrong, 102,979,784. It was previously 103,143,212. So we are changing the number in one column.
We found a Kayleen Castle, budget manager, we found a formula error in that total. So this is just to correct that. The ordinance text and the total amendment did not change.
Okay. Let me suggest that, when you have amendments that you want us to make, that you let us know prior to the meeting as opposed to when we present the motion.
It was written.
Well, it was indicated on my materials as well as the
It
clerk's
was in the
material.
agenda item.
So the agenda item does,
But it's not on my,
It's one of the attachments.
okay,
and I'm sorry that it wasn't pointed out to you in a more clear manner.
okay.
I will make a motion to amend to accurately input the proper number, monetary number.
Second.
Motion's been, may I see the language that we're,
Oh. Would you like the motion?
motion has been made and seconded to amend Exhibit A of the ordinance on page 2 to amend the last line, total all fund sources to read as follows: 967933130, 102604639, 102979784 instead of 103143212, 375145. Anybody from the public to speak to this amendment? Comments, council? All in favor of the motion to amend, say aye.
Aye.
And motion carries unanimously. Now we will vote on the motion to adopt ordinance 9294-19 as amended. Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 9.8. Ms. Aiken?
Ordinance number 9297-19, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, relating to the City of Clearwater Firefighter Supplemental Trust Fund, amending the Clearwater Code of Ordinances, Chapter 2, Administration, Article 5, Division 4, Firefighters Pension Plan, Subdivision 3, Supplementary Pension and Retirement Plan, amending Section 2.453, Miscellaneous Provisions, providing an effective date.
Move to adopt ordinance 9297-19 at second reading.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to adopt ordinance 9297-19 on second reading. Anybody from the public to speak to this motion? Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 10.1, Mr. Horn.
Approve supplemental one work order to Stantec for design and construction administration for Phase 1 of Imagine Clearwater in the amount of $5,644,322, and authorize the appropriate officials to execute same. Mr. Delk.
Mayor, Council, Michael Delk, Interim Assistant City Manager. This work order is to move forward with a consolidated, what used to be Phase 2 and 3 of the Imagine Clearwater plan is now combined into a one single Phase 1. This amount of $5,644,000 is for the creation of construction documents. There will be 30, 60, and 95 and 100% drawing stages along the way, which will provide opportunities, as I suggested to you on Monday, that I would like to re-engage our community and update them as we complete the final design of the park improvements. We will be back at some point, presumably later this year possibly, with a second work order for the development of construction documents for Phase 2 of the Imagine, which is the northern portion of the property at that time. We have a representative from Stantec here. If you have any questions, we would recommend your approval so that we can proceed with the permit and construction documents.
Any questions of staff on agenda item 10.1? Mr. Poglaze.
Thank you, Mayor. We had a great work session. We talked about funding strategy. There is still some concerns about the overall strategy for this entire project. When I looked, and I'm bringing this up now because 5.6 is a pretty big number, which is why we didn't put it on a consent. We wanted to talk about that. If I could get Mr. Ravens up here again, and we did not get a copy of that document, but it was put on the overhead screen, and I know it's a work in progress, that funding strategy. You had showed us if not, I have it on my phone. We weren't given a copy. I mean, I could put it up there that way. The first, I guess, concern, and maybe a little more detail, is, and I did read the 49-page document of what we're getting for that 5.4. But to date, we have paid Stantec 2.591, and today 5.6 is a total of 8.6, if this is approved today, $8.56 million just for design work. When I look at the budget breakdown that Jay showed us the other day, though we're passionate, we're committed to the citizens, we have approval to do this, I think it's our responsibility to identify as accurately we can at this point our complete funding strategy going forward. In addition to that, I would really suggest my colleagues look at cost engineering as we go forward. And I'm gonna give you a few examples why. The total design and construction is currently identified as $41,417,000. Of that, there's no contingency. My contractor friends here can always tell you there's going to be a contingency fund necessary.
There is a contingency.
Okay, I did not see it in the breakdown of the 41. Okay, well, thank you.
It's within the.
Right.
The actual
Okay. Well, and if I could finish, if we take away the $8.5 million out of the 41 design and construction phase, that leaves $33 million to basically build the whole park. To include, and if you take $14 million from the band shell back of house covered seating, that now leaves less than $20 million to develop the rest of the park. So when we were given that document right there, it showed potentials for different funding strategies, different buckets where we're going to get it. I would suggest that there's some inconsistencies. If you look at, could somebody put this on the screen for me, please? For instance, I think the City Hall and the CMA site was listed at $23.5 million, the potential sale of those properties, of which, of course, City Hall has to pass a referendum. And we're currently doing an architectural review on the City Hall site in that white block. Now, if it comes to pass and there's a great idea, that cultural component for Imagine Clearwater is going to have parking. That's the larger site of the two versus CMA. It's currently, I think, projected value is $18 million. You're going to take away 40% of that. I'm not opposed to a cultural center, but I'm saying the values are incorrect. I'll give you another inconsistency that I noticed. or put it this way, in the funding sources, and prioritizing and cost engineering as we go forward. The library calls to be integrated into the North Bluff Walk. The library is a priority, reactivation of the library for Imagine Clearwater, but yet the North Bluff Walk is not in phase one. So how do we, and I think there's a $180,000 that's to integrate the west side of the library into the North Bluff Walk, yet the North Bluff Walk is not in phase one. So, I mean, how do we, I don't want to limit our design potential capacity for integrating that library into the North Bluff Walk. So maybe the library is phase two. Because how do you build something that doesn't, how do you integrate something that doesn't exist? So and our bonding capacity is 25.5 million. Is that that's our maximum capacity for bonding?
Jay Ravens, Finance Director. No, that is not our debt capacity. That is what we have built into the general fund model. The $2 million a year in debt, in general fund debt service that we built into the model over a 20-year period provides us with that amount of potential funding. So we were trying to show what that $2 million that we have built into our current general fund model would provide as far as maximum funding if we took the entire $2 million hit.
Okay. The overall, the total cost, a little roughly over $64 million. We're short currently with the formula that was given to us. We're currently short 15 million, but there are other variables and moving parts going forward. For instance, tonight we approved the budget of 3.2 million to add to Imagine Clearwater, yet there's still pending, as far as this revenue strategy, 6.5 million that will need to come from the general fund or interoffice transfer, because the total number was 9.5 for Imagine Clearwater, but we only approved 3.2 of it tonight. So if you look at it, if you can put that funding strategy going forward.
Yeah, we pull this back up with the. There we go.
It just, to me, it really seems like, yeah, we're just, I have a concern that we're not being as.
I'll be honest with you, Councilman, I'm not sure I'm following everything let's take items, your concerns one at a time.
Mm-hmm.
The first issue is with the funding, the kind of the documents here that we're.
For instance, 64 million total cost. What was the breakdown for the contingency?
We can pull that up. It's around I think a 10% contingency.
It is a 10%.
Yeah.
That's what it is. I don't know.
So it's factored into the, yeah. We know there needs to be a contingency.
Right. There is also we took away roughly 900 parking spots for downtown. We're working on a short-term solution now. Long-term solution we're also working on. But there's no budgeted money for additional parking just to facilitate Imagine Clearwater. We took away roughly 900, and I think there's just 200. How many did we add total? 200 and some parkings down there. So we're not going to budget for any parking additional for Imagine Clearwater.
We've been talking for a number of years, actually, about at some point in time having an additional structured parking in downtown.
Right.
So is your concern that we're not adding it onto this project? I don't think that's necessary, but if that's your concern, that's an entirely different discussion for us.
It's part of the overall conversation. Is this the true cost, 64 billion? And are we really sufficiently planning? And I'll start out with Mr. Horn's comment. He said financial stability in the future. I'm worried about our reserves because it seems like we're pulling from every bucket we can to make this our priority and get it done. And I'm not sure that's the most fiscally responsible way to tackle this?
Well, I think we all know this is an extraordinarily, it's a very expensive project, and it's a very notable project for the community. There's a reason we call this whole episode 21st Century Clearwater at some point. We had, these are changes for our community for the next 100 years, and reconnect our downtown to the waterfront in a way that it's not been connected to it in many, many decades, going back well into the last century. So I think actually what I would like to come at this a little bit different way is that if you back out some of the things that we're doing to implement ULI in its entirety with the library and some of the venue work, we're actually coming in here pretty close to the midpoint of the original HR&A estimates, where I think they rank from 35 to 50 some million dollars. We're probably around, the low 40s. And on top of that, we're going to move forward with the library enhancement project, which is a part of the park project, Imagine Clearwater. If you want to break it down to kind of the spreadsheet format, one of the reasons that internally we're actually a little bit, I think this is a little bit of optimistic or good news here, is that that with the current net deficit we have to make up with $14,833,000, we're not counting what is currently appraised value of $23 million worth of real estate to close that gap. And I would point out to you as well in the document that the $14 million here is actually your venue add-ons. These are not things that were part of the original Imagine Clearwater plan. So you have told us that you want a large back-of-house operation and covered seating. Right. Those are the only two areas, and we've been talking about this for 2 months, that I think we will, they're not exactly consistent with the Imagine Clearwater plan that was originally envisioned. You chose to add those on. You eliminate those, and our gap is $833,000 to close with $23 million worth of real estate. That's kind of a good news scenario.
I interject. That's not correct. If we keep City Hall there, that's 35–40% of the land, so that is no longer worth $18 million. The City Hall site is appraised at 18, so you have to subtract 8 or 9 million if we continue to own the City Hall, turn it into a cultural whatever that is.
Well, I mean, we're gonna assume what we're doing right now is studying the value of that asset. I mean, yes, we can tear the building down, but we also have the opportunity to possibly anchor our waterfront with 2 great civic components, one on the north end and the south end of the park. That's not bad news, that's good news. There's an opportunity there for us to take advantage of, or not. I think that's, we need to focus. I think this is an area and an opportunity for us to kind of look at the big picture in the long term. These are real opportunities for us. And I think that to some extent the news is actually better than we had feared in terms of the size and scope of the project. So what we've talked about is that I've asked and we're designing a back-of-house and a covered seating. And there's probably a few $100,000 in design review for that. But we've talked about for 2 months that I'm going to try to phase that for you so that $14 million becomes an option for you. We can build everything that's in Imagine Clearwater as approved by the community's generated plan, and we will have approximately $830,000 deficit to close with $20-odd million worth of real estate. That's not, we're in some ways, I think we're in better place here than what we actually feared we might be in.
Well, a major concern I have is cost breakdown of the different items within the park. We know the band shell, the covered roof, we know that's $14 million, we have that. For instance, we really don't know what the Civic Gateway, the Southern Bluff Walk, the Cleveland Street extending over the road, I haven't seen that document. What does that cost?
Well, this is what we're doing now. We're going into the design construction phase.
So that's when we'll cost engineer. But I mean, so how can we be sure that 64 million is the top number if we don't know those individual, at least have a sort of a better understanding?
Well, we're doing the construction drawings now. Engineering is moving forward with a construction manager. So over the next couple of months, we're going to get a construction manager on board. We're going to work with them and our Stantec and we're going to start to drill down on the specifics, the actual improvements, and there's going to be some adjustments. There may be some numbers that go up, there may be some numbers that go down, but that's the phase that we're in.
My fear is that the numbers are all going to go up. And so value engineering as we go forward, knowing as much possible information as we can so that our contingency stays under 10%. That's a fear that I have, because it seems like we're paying 5.6 for them to design all this, and then it's going to come back as, well, yes, we exactly do want the Southern Bluff Walk that way. We want the Cleveland Street to go over. That we don't have those numbers, and I don't want the new council to have this. Well, now it's 75, 80 million.
Again, we've talked about this. I think what I've told you in the past at our meetings and publicly in the work session city council meetings is that we're going to move forward with the design construction of the documents of phase 1. We combine 2 phases into phase 1. So 2/3 of the park we're designing construction permit documents for. What I asked you for and what you all were comfortable with was that I spend the next few months this summer working with Stantec on the final design of the architecture of the structures in the park. Right. That includes the bridge over Cleveland, that includes the stage venue and the covering. That includes, we'll look at it with the seat covering area and the back of house. Frankly, I don't want the covering for the seats to drive the architecture on our signature, that facility. That would be rather unfortunate if we design a stage and a covering for that and the architecture of that structure doesn't lead what we're doing at $60 million. Right. So we're going to try to get the cart behind the horse where it belongs. We're going to look at the architecture as a total package. That's going to take us 2 or 3 months over the summer. It's not slowing down the construction documents for the park. And then we're going to move forward with that as part of the design then through this phase 1 process.
Is the North Bluff Walk part of phase 1?
Well, you mentioned the North Bluff Walk. We're moving forward to the library. The library will probably be the first, can be at this point, the first thing under construction is what I would expect. So the construction manager is going to help us tie together the improvements relative to the library, some of which involve the back of house on the library where it overlooks the park. There's going to be a plaza out there and there's a promenade, and if you recall the park documents, we're going to remove the wall and the barrier that separates the library from the park. There's going to be steps down to the park, so we're going to have to coordinate that construction. But I don't anticipate, nor would I be trying to coordinate with Stantec, a point where phase 2 is done and we stop and then we wait, and then we come back and do phase 1. Right. So for this to work properly, we're going to move from south to north through the construction of the entire park. So we'll be back to you with the phase 2 work order, which is going to be coming, I would assume, later this year. I've not talked to Hamid and Stantec about that, but I would expect it somewhere in there. Once we get under construction, we're not going to stop. And remember, the library is going to be under construction at the same time.
The last question I have, and I apologize for taking up so much time, but I just think it's extremely important, would be for Mr. Horn. Mr. Horn, do you envision healthy reserves going forward 4 or 5 years from now? We're going to be able to overcome this, hopefully through not additional millage rates, because currently we're doing either internal financing, a little bit of bonding, and I know we're tapping into some of these monies.
I do anticipate that we will have healthy reserves, assuming the council doesn't find some other priority that you want to use that money for. The council has been very responsive to the community, and so for me to speculate, some years in the future that that money is going to be there, I wouldn't want to second guess where the council is going to be, in that time frame.
Sure. Those are my concerns. I needed to say that. I felt like it was important, so thank you, Mayor.
Let's clarify the reserves just for a second, because that seems to be weighing on your mind. Remember the 5.955 millage rate that we were talking about, okay? That was projected out to stay there at 10 years and to get our reserves at that base before we'd have to start looking at another millage rate, assuming all of our assumptions were accurate. when we made some changes to the Imagine plan, that impact and the employee salary rate compensation plan, that changed the reserves or the projection from 10 years to 8 years. So I think what Mr. Horn is, excuse me, trying to reassure us is that given, if we keep everything fits into those, and we don't make too many more changes, if we don't add another $14 million to, the Imagine Clearwater plan, that our reserves would be in pretty good shape for at least the next 6 or 7 years, if not the 8 that we're projecting. Is that a good summary? Yeah. Okay. Mr. Hamilton.
Well, I think, and I'm going to come at it from a different angle. Michael and I met today and had this discussion, but I think there's some misconception in the community right now. You were talking about a cultural center in the old city hall. The only thing I'm aware of there is what is or was an individual that was interested in putting a museum in there for a collection. And I said, and we had this discussion, I had this discussion with the city manager and whatnot, and it was months and months ago. I said, the only thing I'd be interested in is if this person wants to come in and put something in there, it's going to be on a month-to-month lease that we can cancel in 30 days, because there's no way that's going to be a permanent use for a building that I have every intention of tearing down. I'm not ready to tear it down today for reasons I've said previously. Now people are thinking, oh, they're going to put this museum in there and that building's going to stay there and we're going to lose the development potential of that site. Well, Ford Pinellas is getting ready to bring forward to the county commission an approval for increased density and increased FAR for these properties on our bluff that we own that increase the potential and the value of those properties. I'm not going to do anything to jeopardize that increased value and that, possible increased usage of those properties. And going into this, as I said on Monday, first off, when you look at the numbers we're being presented for Imagine Clearwater, these numbers have not been just pulled out of the air. These are numbers that people that have done this before on various numerous sites have put together and say, yeah, okay, conceptually this is what you want. These things are what you want. This is the number you're probably going to be looking at as we add these numbers together. But going into a $55 million project, I never for 1 minute expected to be able to pay for it without bonding part of this deal. And when you put that number there and say, right now we're looking at bonding $15 million, and we haven't even begun, and I've made comment before, there's going to be opportunities for public donations, possibly a naming opportunity for the band shell, other portions of the park, corporate involvement, having their, I know that there's some corporate people that are interested in having, helping with what we're going to do down there. So, all that number, that just keeps bringing the number down to either how much we have to bond, or we can still bond the 15 million, which is not a number I'm uncomfortable with, given a 20-year payback of it over 20 years. You can take that 15 million out of the budget of Imagine Clearwater, and we can earmark it to other places of the city's budget. So it is, I am not scared by the numbers we're looking at right now. I'm anxious for Stantec to go to the next level with what we're asked to approve tonight, the money tonight, so that we'll really start drilling down on this stuff. And, in a project of this size, this is one of those expenditures that just happens, and it is there. And this is the beginning of the value engineering, where they'll be looking at things and say, we can do this, or you can go this way, and you can do this. So we can address those issues. But I just want to put the community at ease that where I sit, there's absolutely no possible use of our old City Hall building on a permanent basis. That building will come down at some point, just not today, for reasons I've explained before. So,
Mr. Albritton?
Well, you know, the work session, this was the first time I saw this particular breakdown. I know we've talked about it for a year, as long as I've been on council, on what the projected budget was going to be, but there wasn't any hard data. You know, I've talked to Mr. Ravens about where he thought we could start it off by taking money. You know, I called the people in St. Augustine and asked them how they got off the ground with theirs. And they got off, to begin with, not by even bonding. They got off with private money, and then they bonded afterwards. And so I feel very comfortable now that you've shown me this on, you know, it's a lot to look at, but at least now I see all the little pots of money that we can really go forward on. And I really think that the real estate there is, I mean, we have opportunity to really pay a lot of it with the real estate that we have. And I like what Mr. Hamilton said. I think that City Hall site is going to be a major site to help pay for this. Not only in the beginning with whatever's going to be built there, but then for years, the tax base that we're going to get off all that is going to help the park in the future. So I'm comfortable with seeing how it's going to be. I know you got the contingent built in there, so I think it's not an easy project. It's a very big, expansive project for this century, and I want to make sure we're moving forward on it, but we got to be fiscally responsible. And we get asked, council gets asked all the time, how are we doing this with people that aren't in the know every week like we are with Mr. Delk and city manager. So
if I may, I think it'd be good to remind us all kind of why we're here and having this discussion. As I've talked to you individually when we meet in our weekly meetings one-on-one, I have mentioned to you on several occasions wanting to bring back to you and we even talked about a special work session to talk about the big picture. Recall me mentioning that? We're going to talk about the project in its entirety, Second Century Clearwater, what this is all about. Because frankly, I think, you know, my fear is that we're kind of losing sight of why we started down this road to begin with. But the reason we're here, and I would not ever have a financing discussion like the one that we're having Monday and today. But the reason that we're having it, you know, in a reactionary mode is because of the concerns that were expressed to you that we should not be moving forward with the library. So we decided that we're going to go back and revisit the decision that we made at the last council meeting about moving forward with the library. So we end up trying to provide you some cover for that, some response to that, so that you can be aware that we're going to build the library and we're not going to undermine our ability to implement the plan that you've asked us to implement. So we're having this kind of reactionary discussion because of the need to go back and address a decision that we thought we had made with regard to the library. Let me say this. This is a little bit like, you know, making lemons out of lemonade. We are in a marginally better position than we feared we could be, because this is a very large and a very expensive project. There's no question about that. We all know that. We've known that from the beginning. But we are positioning ourselves very close to about the best place that we can be right now, other than the fact that we can't roll back the clock. So we will deliver this project to you. You don't need to worry about our ability to do that. We won't present you, and this is, I've assured you individually, and I'll say it publicly, I will not present you an either-or decision unless I tell you it's an either-or decision. We presented you the library fully, intending that we're going to move forward with construction of the park. I mean, we're all in after tonight because these are construction documents. We're going to use them to pull permits. So the City Hall site might well be the most significant public asset on this bluff that we end up with. If you look at our sister cities and the tremendous civic virtue in their downtown areas, there's no reason we don't have the same opportunities. And frankly, you know, we've got a more spectacular waterfront. You could make a case than some of them. So I'm going to continue to try to provide you all this information and the reassurance. We can come back and have more holistic discussions about this. But I think we need to make sure our compass is set on giving our downtown the best chance for success from an economic development standpoint. I think hopefully we agree on that. That was our objective, is to reconnect Clearwater to the waterfront and provide a place for our community. Our issue is not bringing people from Sarasota and Brandon over here for concerts. Frankly, it's getting our people from Countryside and Morningside to want to come downtown and visit our waterfront and our park. If we can do that, we will be extraordinarily successful. So my part, I'm trying to keep my eye on the ball and deliver to you the project of the size and scope and significance to the community that I believe that you all want and that I believe that our community wants. So this is an important next step, and we would recommend your approval.
Do you have anything?
I just wanted to say that I have confidence in the direction that we're headed. Because we've talked about the funding, possible funding, we know approximately how, how much we'll need. We don't need it all in one year, and so this is a multi-year project, and I'm excited about what is going. And this is a huge step, pulling the permits.
I share your excitement.
I wanted to thank you for all of your work on this, and others on our staff too.
Okay. Anybody from the public speak to agenda item 10.1? If so, please come forward. Make sure that we have a card filled out. Give us your name, and you would have 3 minutes to speak.
Mr. Mayor, council members, I'm Bill Johnson, Clearwater Neighborhood Coalition Government Liaison, and I have filled out a card. Your conversation that you just had is a very large conversation, and I'd like to zero in on just one piece of this part of this agenda item that's moving forward. And that's a follow-up to on Monday when I showed some waterfront photos during the CRA meeting. The mayor kindly spoke to me after the work session, indicating my message could have been misinterpreted. I didn't mean to imply that I wasn't very supportive of this project moving forward. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for that feedback. What I was trying to say was that the goals of this project are a very vibrant park with lots of folks of all ages enjoying multiple aspects of the park during all times of the day. The ULI and the citizens' conceptual plans envisioned the waterfront, actually the water edge in the waterfront, as an active edge like Philadelphia and Halifax. What we need are people magnets of multiple kinds that draw people to the water's edge and everywhere in between. Since Monday, I have reviewed the document attached to this agenda item and find missing sufficient information on the experience outcomes expected. It talks about what's, but not about the feelings the interactions with the park will generate. I had thought this would have been an outcome of the 15% design. I met with Mr. Delk this morning. He reported that the 30% design process, and also tonight, will include community outreach opportunities. As a result, these experience outcomes can be incorporated in the 30% design. So thank you, Mr. Delk. I look forward to participating in that. I would just also add that please design the park that has environmental preservation demonstration edges along the waterfront and active water people edges. The city is doing a huge environmental mitigation project at Cooper's Point. Surely that can mitigate some of the minimal seagrasses impact for part of the waterfront, and especially if we enhance the environmental restoration at the south end of the project. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Council.
Anybody else from the public wishing to speak?
Good evening, Gary Lee, Clearwater, 25 years. I appreciate you going slow and Imagine Clearwater. August 3rd, council meeting was held on ordinance 9063 on special elections, November off-year ballot. In that meeting, this ordinance, Imagine Clearwater, was summarized as proposes to add a boathouse and a launch ramp. On the election day, the question read, improvements to use downtown Clearwater to allow construction, maintenance of certain improvements, bunch of things. Anyway, it took it down to the level of water fountains, litter receptacles, and other things. We went down to that level of detail talking about it, but there is no mention of a band shell, which represents almost 1/3 of the cost. When voting November, when voting November 7th, I did not know I was voting on $55 million. Had no idea of it. If that fact were known, I would have voted no. Using round numbers, there's 100,000 voters. 16,000 votes were cast, 12,000 for, and the rest against. That's not an overwhelming majority. Voting was untimely, and the proposition was not clear. I'm not in favor of the $17 million ban shell. Clearwater's 110,000 people with a 10-year growth of 110,000 people. Average age is 50. Average income, 50,000. The existing band shell events have only a 10% Clearwater attendance. Neighbors have complained about the noise and the inconvenience. The new band shell would have even more events, more noise, more inconvenience. Estimated annual operating cost, $1 million. 5-year estimate, in 5 years, we'll make $20,000 off of that band shell. Why spend $17 million to only make $20,000 in 5 years? Proponent says the band shell will bring new life. We already have 4 great areas in Clearwater. Why do we keep dumping money to try to revitalize this? Since the voters are not really aware of the $55 and now $64 million cost, I would recommend that it needs another vote.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else from the public wishing to speak?
Good evening, Council. Frank Hibbard, 308 Druid Road West. I wouldn't normally come and speak about this, but I know there is a sense of urgency to finish this project and to get going. At the same time, I ask you to take it slow too. It is the largest endeavor that the city will have ever had, and obviously a very expensive one. I think some of the questions were answered, but I look forward to some value engineering. I don't think you'll be able to do much of that until you have a construction manager that is going to make some of those recommendations. I don't know if Stantec has the ability to do a design build. I don't think that they have that type of experience, just a design side of things. I would also hope that you look at some of past projects within the city and remember the lessons that we learned. I look at downtown streetscape and the fact that we used pavers. I wish that we had not. And then I look at Beach Walk where we used colored concrete. I hope that Stan Tech keeps in mind building something that is spectacular, yet at the same time has low maintenance costs over the long haul. And I think Beach Walk was a better example of that than some of the things that we got from the architect for the downtown streetscape. Finally, I just hope that the entire design gives lists of costs, obviously, so that if you can't raise all the money, if you can't generate all the funds, that you can triage what is most important within this project. So I appreciate your time and all the diligence that you put into this.
Let me ask you if you filled out a card if you haven't already done so. Anybody else from the public wishing to speak to an item not on the agenda? If not, I will close public comment. We have a motion to approve 10.1.
Move approval of agenda item 10.1, is that right? 10.1?
Yes. Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve agenda item 10.1. Comments, council? Everybody comfortable? Okay. Council, I'm just going to add this one thought. I know, for example, when we did Crest Lake Park, we started out at a large number and we reduced it when we saw some, we made some changes to that plan after we had, we need to have a specific plan presented to us. I think this is the next step in going down that road. And if we want to make some tweaks after we see that to reduce the cost, we would have that opportunity. I think we need to keep in mind that the entire Imagine Clearwater plan isn't just the waterfront. It is the entire park area. It is to include from Osceola to the waterfront and try to get people to make this downtown park their second neighborhood, to draw them here, to be proud of the fact of where they live in Countryside or Morningside, but also that they want to come downtown and visit the park here that's going to belong to all of us. In the venue and the events and the experience will draw them right to the water, but it would also draw them to businesses on Cleveland Street, because that's the bottom line in all of this, is to revitalize not just the park, not just the waterfront, but the entire downtown. So I think, Mr. Delk has done yeoman's work in the last 2 months. Mr. Raven's information that came forward from Mr. Poglace's questions, I think, has been helpful to us. And let me close by the comments that Mr. Poglace was suggesting and Mr. Hamilton answered. We have not said what's going to go on the City Hall site. And it is wrong for us to give people the impression that we've already decided what's going to go there, because we don't know what's going to go there. We don't know how valuable that land may be. When we get the park started, the value of that property may exponentially rise because of the other activities going on in the park. So let's not confuse the public by saying we're going to do this or we're going to do that with the City Hall site, because we don't know what we're going to do yet. And I think that that's not helping any of us understand what this whole project is all about. Motion has been made and seconded to approve agenda item 10.1. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 10.2, Mr. Horn.
Authorize a community aesthetic features agreement between the City of Clearwater and the Florida Department of Transportation for a local identification marker, city logo, on a new pedestrian overpass bridge at Harn Boulevard and US 19, and adopt resolution 19-11. Ms. Clayton.
Staff has been working with the Florida Department of Transportation to incorporate a City of Clearwater identification sign into the design of the proposed pedestrian bridge to be constructed by FDOT at Harn Boulevard and over US 19. Based on the bridge's location and close proximity to the southern border of the city, we're proposing that the sign be located on the south side of the bridge and reflect our new brand and tagline, as you see in the photograph. If for some reason we can't accommodate the bright and beautiful Bay to Beach, we will remove that but retain the Clearwater with our emblem. To make this all happen, we have to enter into a community aesthetic features agreement with the FDOT, and this agreement really defines our roles and responsibilities, and it obligates us to maintain whatever sign is erected, and it also requires us to establish some sort of deposit, letter of credit in the amount of $15,000 to ensure that the bridge is returned to its original intended condition in case we remove it. So we are here asking for your permission to approve this agreement so we can move forward with this.
Any questions of staff on 10.2? Mr. Pogler?
Just one quick one, and I apologize, I didn't read through the entire agreement. Is this going to be backlit? Is it going to be an electrical sign or just visible during the day?
No, it's not going to be an electrical sign. One of the things that we still want to continue to explore is some uplighting that would be put on the bridge, but when we had the original engineering work done, we didn't incorporate that. So we still would like to approve it, so if we find that we can do it and we need to amend this agreement, we might bring it back to you.
Should that not work, then I would recommend we look at that reflective that we have, that we make our own signs out of.
Whatever
Because
it means.
lights are going to be shining on it
Yes,
continuously in the
absolutely.
evening. Daytime, it's not a concern.
We'll
Thank
meet
you.
whatever standards we're required to meet.
Wait a minute, it's going to be high up. How are the lights going to shine on it?
Well, if she's talking about uplighting mounted to the bottom of the bridge, I'm assuming.
I thought you meant headlights from the cars.
Well, no, from a distance, headlights still will, I mean, it's going to be high up, but they'll still, I think, illuminate.
I don't know.
If you turn your brights on.
Turn your brights on.
Mine light up that far away.
Okay, all right, never
Maybe
mind,
not.
never mind.
Okay.
Any other questions, Mr. Pogler?
That's it, thank you.
Okay. Anybody from the public to speak to agenda item 10.2?
Move approval of agenda item 10.2.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve agenda item 10.2. Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Ms. Aiken.
Resolution number 19-11, a resolution of the City of Clearwater, Florida, approving a community aesthetic features agreement as attached in Exhibit A between the City of Clearwater, the city, and the Florida Department of Transportation that provides for installation and maintenance of the local identification marker affixed to the US 19 pedestrian overpass at Horn Boulevard, authorizing the city manager or designee to execute the community aesthetic features agreement and all other documents necessary to effectuate this transaction, providing for an effective date.
I move to adopt resolution 19-11.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to adopt resolution 19-11. Comments, council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Horn, do you have any other business for council?
No, Mayor, I do not.
Ms. Aiken?
No, sir, I would like to make one point of clarification on.
Ma'am.
Sir?
Ma'am,
Oh.
you want to make one point of clarification, and I
Yes.
said, yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. I thought you were stopping me.
No.
On a comment that was made by a citizen about the referendum in 2017.
Oh, I was, yeah, go ahead.
Yes, the band shell was not approved in that referendum. That was in 2015 when the band shell and removable seating was approved. It was in a referendum that happened 2 years earlier.
And while you brought that up, I was going to bring up the question on the water fountains. Why was the water fountains put in there specifically?
The way our charter provision is written, it is, you can't have anything. That provision is you may build nothing. And so we put in a provision that specifically stated what we're going to build. So except for these things, and these things you can do.
So in other words, if we had not put in water fountains, we could not have had a water fountain, be it a drinking water fountain or a water fountain in the park.
It would have made it susceptible to challenge, and we were covering all of our bases.
And I think even the trash receptacles,
Everything.
because I remember charter review in 2015, we had a list of things that we put out, and that's the referendum
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, sir.
So, anything else for us, Ms.
No,
Aiken?
sir.
Mr. Hamilton?
Glad to be back. As you all know, I missed the last meeting. I was traveling in Europe I've said it to a lot of you, and I'm going to make the comment from here. I was in Europe for almost 3 weeks. I was in Italy, I was in Greece, Malta, Crete, and London. And in 3 weeks, I never once walked on a level sidewalk or road, for that matter. And if you trip and fall walking over there, it's your own fault. It's not the city's fault that you fell. It's not the country's fault that you fell. It's your own fault. And I kind of came back with a new level of not liking the fact that, you know, somebody trips over a crack in a sidewalk in the city of Clearwater, and all of a sudden it's the city's fault that they tripped. If you're paying attention where you're walking, like they assume you do in Europe, you won't fall. But apparently here, you know, it's just a different system, and that's one part of our system that I adamantly dislike. I'll get off my soapbox and I'm done.
Mr. Albritton.
Well, I just want to add that I'm glad we're moving forward on Imagine Clearwater. I have lots of confidence in Michael and Mr. Delk getting things moving again, because I thought we were in a little hole, but I think I would just want to make a comment, and because we talked about this in our weekly meetings, that I think it might be a good idea for you to go out into the community and possibly with the chamber or maybe with the partnership and go out and answer the questions. Have people ask you directly. I think that would be a lot better for the community, because we have a lot of people that are concerned that they want to see things done a certain way, and you can answer those questions. So I think that'd be a good thing.
I will do that.
Mr. Poglaze.
I would echo Councilman Albritton's comments. I think Michael's doing an incredible job. I just felt sitting up here, it was our duty to revisit. It wasn't totally inspired by the library conversation. The library was value engineering, so I'm not contesting the 6.1. It's timing. Phase 1, phase 2, when should we do it? Because it was part of the total Imagine Clearwater. So I'm going to end that on a positive note. I'm happy where we are as well. And I do want to bring up another point. My wife was shopping today at, most everybody shops there. I shouldn't, because I'm a former union official. But she was at Walmart. And what was really interesting, what she found at Walmart, and she bought 3 of them, she brought them home. I haven't heard any of my colleagues talk about this. We have Clearwater is America's #1 beach. Well, I didn't have time to look at it before I left tonight to see if it was actually Milton Bradley, but it's a box game that replicates Monopoly, and it's called Clearopoly. And it's totally about, it's all Clearwater Beach, all the streets, all the properties that are for sale. It's in tribute to America's #1 beach. Has anybody seen this?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know who got permission to do I didn't see if they even used our logo yet. They're infringing upon, but it's Clearopoly. I'll bring one next week to City Hall to let everyone see it. Yeah.
Mr. Kunda.
I've seen games like that, Monopoly games. Up in Iowa, they had one for the John Deere factory, John Deere tractor industry and the farms and so forth. I was going to ask Mr. Mayor if you're going to address the several questions that were asked early on that we may not have the answers for, so I won't say anything about that. But I wanted to do a shout out to a friend of ours here in Clearwater, Tom Nocera. And Tom Nocera is, well, he's younger than I am, but back in the summer of 1969, he had finished his junior year in college, St. Petersburg College, and took a summer internship at the Kennedy Space Center and was there on the Apollo 11, not flight crew, but on the ground crew for Apollo 11. And so he's been doing quite a bit of interviews the past couple of weeks in preparation for this. And I just saw an article from Arizona Central, AZ Central, that talks about it. The headline is, "A young engineer trainee found himself at the Apollo 11 launch with Barry Goldwater." Tom had told me about his walking down the tarmac with Barry Goldwater and a few of the future astronauts, and he got to see it firsthand. Anyway, congratulations, Tom.
Council, I was indicated at the start of the meeting, I did come to the Community Development Board meeting on Tuesday. I came because those volunteers had a special meeting that day or the week before for the Edgewater Drive question. They were here for 7 hours. They took one break. And I felt it was important for me to come to thank the volunteers for their time. And if the gentleman who spoke had listened more carefully, he would have also heard me tell them that his neighborhood set a new standard, because I complimented the neighborhood on their decorum, their organization, and how they acted during that 7-hour meeting. They did set a new standard for other neighborhoods. And I'm sorry if you didn't hear that, but I will say it again. And you can go back and listen to the tape, and you will hear that I said exactly that. And again, those were volunteers. They gave of their time. I even said that I know that the neighborhood wasn't happy with the decision, but I had to compliment the chairman and the board for the way they conducted that meeting. We, as the elected officials, can be proud of the work that that Community Development Board did during those 7 hours. And it was why I was there to thank them on behalf of all of us. And I'm sorry if that wasn't conveyed or just looked at through slanted glasses. On the question regarding, how quickly do we mow lawns, city property? There is a schedule, and it is followed. Unfortunately, sometimes it rains an awful lot, and grass grows faster than we would like. Possibly, coincidentally, maybe the lawn was scheduled to be mowed the day after the gentleman was there. I don't know, but I'm sure staff,
Well, I'd like to get that address if Mark has an idea of where it is.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's off of,
It's unanswerable.
Yeah.
off of Missouri Avenue.
Green Lane neighborhood.
Yes.
Oh, maybe I'm thinking of a different property. Yeah, okay.
Get the information. I just want to make a comment is that prior to the recession, the city had a much larger staff, and we did a lot of that kind of maintenance work within our own staff. When we had to cut back and adjust to the greatest recession that we have had in this country, we had to reduce staff. It didn't mean that we didn't get the work done. It meant that we contracted some of that grass mowing out to contractors to do. We estimate how many cuts or mowings would be needed, and then we sort of adjust based on the rate of growth. When there are heavy rains, obviously, the grass grows a little bit faster. I don't know the history on this particular area, but once you give me the information, we can find out if it's an area that needs to have more cuts. But it's typically contracted out, and it is not cut every week, so it's understandable.
Sir, he'll get back with you, okay? Then the other answer to the second part of your question was, who do we contact? Or, if a person has a question. Well, he can call our city council offices, talk to any one of us. He can call in and talk to the city manager, Parks and Rec, whatever the department is. Go to the website under Clearwater Connect, and you can actually file a written complaint that gets addressed and comes to all of us for response. All of that is right there. Okay? Again, sir, thank you. Other things to keep in mind, council, as we go forward. let me tell you, if you haven't already heard, the Countryside Cougar High School Band has been invited to go to the Memorial Day parade in Washington, D.C. They're in the process of trying to raise funds for that trip. If you know of somebody who would be interested in supporting the Countryside High School Band, to call the school, and I'm sure that they would be able to give you information on what to do. To those families who've been participating in our camp program, you can be proud of the work that our Parks and Rec Department, our volunteers, and our counselors in training do with your children during the course of the day. They've had an exciting, fun summer, and I was at Morningside today for one of the programs, and I can tell you that the kids were just having a ball and looking forward to the rest of the summer before they have to go back to school. Want to thank our mostly Pops Orchestra and our fireworks display for the 4th of July. I think once again Clearwater set the standard for the entire Tampa Bay area. We can be real proud of the work that we do on the 4th of July and the fireworks and the presentations that we have. It is hot outside, so please make sure that you stay hydrated if you work out there. The storm season is coming up. It's here. Be ready for the storm before it arrives and not afterwards. We're having, obviously, every weekend, the Sunsets at Pier 60 have movies. A very special movie is going to take place at the Capitol Theater on Thursday, July the 25th. Christmas in July. They're going to have Miracle on 34th Street. We would encourage you to bring a toy for the fire department and the police department to be able to collect and distribute at appropriate times to needy children. There will be free popcorn and a drink if you bring a toy. Again, this is going to be in conjunction with our Community Redevelopment Agency on the evening of July the 25th. And then on July the 26th, which is Friday, for $5, there will be another movie, Paranormal Activity. Okay. Miss Aiken, can you tell us about that in 3 words or less?
Scary.
Okay. That will be, again, at the Capitol Theater. The same time, we're going to continue to have the movies at Pier 60. Saturday, July the 27th, for the first time, we're going to have the Bolts Beach Bash. The Tampa Bay Lightning is going to have roller hockey. It's going to have all kinds of activities at Pier 60. It's the first time that they've done this. There's going to be a concert by, who was our concert guy? Young MC. Miss Aiken, do you know who Young MC is?
No, sir.
Okay. Miss Call? You know who Young MC? All right. So we would encourage, it's going to be all-day activity at Pier 60 with the Lightning, and then it will conclude after the concert. We're going to have a fireworks display, so we would encourage you to support the Lightning. Be the thunder for our Lightning here in the Tampa Bay area. On Wednesday, the 31st, is going to be our annual our monthly electronic waste day. If you have any computers or televisions that you're trying to get rid of, you can take it to our recycling and solid waste facility on Hercules Avenue to dispose of it, no charge to Clearwater residents. Our next meeting is going to be on Thursday, August the 1st at 6 o'clock. We will not have a work session before that meeting. And then finally, Saturday is going to be a momentous anniversary for us here in the United States. Despite what the boxer said, I think that somebody landed on the moon on July the 27th of 1969. And Mr. Hamilton, coincidentally, you were in Europe this summer. I was in Europe 50 years ago. Got up at like 2 o'clock in the morning, to watch on Italian television with one of your employees. We were a family get-together there, and we got to see the lunar landing at the Pension Bianca in Rome, Italy. So everybody, I'm sure, remembers where they were on that particular day, just like, like when, you don't remember where you
No, I have last week memory. That's what's
Last week
important.
memory, okay.
Everything we do here.
Okay, very good.
That's it.
Well, again, thank you for spending part of your evening with us. We will see you on August the 1st. We are adjourned.